We all know this. Breakups suck. They're painful. I mean, they like literally hurt. There's a whole phrase devoted to what it feels like after you go through a breakup. It's called heartbreak. And this pain, it can mess up your whole mood for weeks, months, longer. But if you're like me, you still want to be married. Like you still want to find your future husband or your future wife. And I think a lot of people think that in order to do that, they have to avoid the breakups. Now, I'm not saying you should purposely break up with somebody, but I'm saying if it happens, I want you to know how you can get through it and you can actually get closer to your goal. You can actually get closer to finding your future husband or your future wife. Hey, welcome back to Relationships Ain't Easy. Today we're talking about breakups. And we're talking about how to get through them the best way possible. I know we don't like breakups. Breakups do suck, and yes, they are painful. But there's actually a way you can get through breakups where you actually gain ground. Like it's weird because it feels like, since it hurts so much, it feels like it's a total L. And there's like, if you go through it, you only move backwards, and now you're further away from your goal of finding a husband or finding a wife than you've ever been before. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like, yeah, for a while it's a setback, but there's a process that if you go through it, you actually end up being even closer than you were before. And so that's what I want to do today. That's what I want to go over. I want to help you guys because, again, I wish I had someone who could have told me this when I was going through things. And so I want to be that person for you. Now, I will say I did read a book, and that book did help. So some of these ideas come from the book I read. It was called Safe People, and I'll put that link in the description. I can't remember the author right now, but it was a good book. So if you're listening to this and you wrote that book, I appreciate you. So let's get into it. The first thing you need to know is it's a process, right? There's no magic. There's no shortcuts. There's no tricks, nothing. Like, it's a process and you have to go through it and you can't cheat it, okay? And I'm going to tell you now up front, it's not going to feel good, at least not in the beginning. Like I said, again, if you do it right, you'll be glad when you get to the end of it. But during it, it may not feel too good. So I'm just being honest with you. So let me also explain to you the wrong ways people do it. All right. Or what can happen when you do it the wrong way. See, a lot of times, because it does hurt so much, we tend to try to avoid it. Right. Or we go through it and then we try to, I guess a better way is we try to like distract ourselves from it. We try to forget it. We try to pretend like it didn't happen. Right. And all those things they're not really solving any issues. They're just distractions. And, some people try to see how many empty bottles they can make. Some people, fitness is great, but they go crazy. They go from going once a week to going 15 times a week. It's like, that may be an extreme. Or some people try to just jump into another relationship, hoping that that'll distract them and they can try to, feel the butterflies of being someone else can like erase, the hurt and the heartache that they're going through. There's all kinds of things people do. But there's a process that can actually help you. And so instead of doing those wrong ways, because this is what happens. When you go through a breakup and you try to distract yourself from the pain, or you try to numb the pain or whatever, the issue is you don't actually get better. You are stuck where you are. And although you may feel a little bit better quicker than if you actually go through the process, This time you probably actually will be further behind, because usually what happens is people either come out of it and they usually do one of a few things. They either do a little pendulum shift where they're like, okay, I was really nice to them and try to treat them with respect, so that didn't work. So now I am going to just step all over people's boundaries. I'm just going to take, and forget them. Then there's the other side where people are like, I didn't do enough, so now I'm going to let them run all over all my boundaries, and I'm going to just try to do everything for them, and neither one of those is right. Either one of those extremes is going to push you further away from having that lifelong fulfilling marriage that you want. Okay? So I want to help you. I don't want you to have to go through that. So let me start this process. The first thing is you need to know it's going to take a while. Okay? It's going to take some time. Like I said, there's no shortcuts. And you've probably heard this before, but normally, however long you were in the relationship is a good kind of indication of how long it's going to take you to completely get out, of, I don't know, the breakup funk or whatever, but completely go through this process. So just know that. So if it was 5 months, you can expect it to be, 4 to 5 months. If it's a year, expect it to be around a year. You get the picture, right? But I will also say it's also up to you too. Like if you don't do your part, or if you, start and stop, like you're going to prolong how long it has to take. Okay. So I would say if you want it to go faster, if you want it to be quicker, stick to the process, stick to the steps, and don't give up. Okay. Okay, good. So the next thing is you need to make a clean break. Make a clean break from these people. The whole goal of a clean break is to cleanly break. Okay? No, the whole goal of a clean break is to break your habit. So you got in the habit of spending time with this person, texting this person, looking at their posts, posting about them, maybe going on dates, spending time with them. Maybe you introduced them to your family and they introduced you to their family and you were spending time with family. But you made a habit of this because you weren't doing this before you met them, but now it's a habit, and now all of a sudden it stopped. Okay? And so now you need to go through the process of, I don't want to say detoxify, but you can think of it as a detox. Okay? You have to go through this process. So this is what I did. I called it scorched earth. Okay. If there were any pictures I had of this person in my phone, they were deleted. If there was any posts on social media about this person, they were deleted. I quit following them. If, we had some mutual friends and they were always hanging out and stuff like that, I'm sorry, but you can still do it. You can just kind of put them on mute where you just don't see the post, but you're still following your friends. And I'm like, okay, maybe after this period of time, I can go back to following my friends, even if they post about this person. But during this time, no, I'm making a clean break. If there was something that I had out of theirs, I remember like having things of theirs. So I either threw them away or I tried to give them back if I thought, just trying to be a nice person, but I've tried to give it back, but in a way where I didn't see them again. Like I might have just dropped it off real quick and left. But anyway, if there were physical pictures, I was trashing those pictures, but you get the point. You make a clean break. I'll say this just came up too. Like if you went to the same gym at the same time, you might want to either get a new membership or go at a different time. Because again, you don't want to see them. And the whole point of this again is to detox them from your system. You created a habit of being around them. Now you need to get back to being you without them. Does that make sense? Like you create a habit of being you with them. Now you need to create a habit of being you without them. And so the quickest way to do that is a clean break. What a lot of people do is they try to say, like, hey, let's keep being friends, or they try to still be around them, and I get it, because you're hurt. You want to, you felt love and affection from this person, and you miss it. I mean, we're human. We all want that. So, but you're going to the wrong place. Either you broke up with them for good reasons, or they broke up with you. And so either way, it's over. And so you need to get back to being you with just you. Okay? So make a clean break. Now for me, I said, it's been a while, but I want to say, I told myself at least 3 months. 3 months, no contact, no texting, nothing. I didn't even ask if we had mutual friends. I didn't even ask about them. Like, it didn't even come up with them. Okay. So make a clean break. And I will say during this time, have someone, at least one person who you can really trust to kind of be your accountability partner. So like, if you want to call that person, like, have them help you. Like, I deleted their number from my phone, and just have someone, I don't know, maybe they can just check your phone history, every few days or whatever, or if you feel like you want to call them back because you miss them, it's like, I just want to tell them I love them. Don't do it. Call this other person instead and let them remind you why, it's over. You need to move on. Okay. So make a clean break. And then I'm realizing now I'm running out of time. So I have to make a part 2 on this too, but quickly, I will say this. You need to have a set time to grieve, and then you need to move on. And it's kind of funny how this works, but usually men need to be reminded and encouraged and taught how to grieve. We usually have a hard time with that, but we tend to have an easy time moving on, or easier time. And women tend to be the opposite, where it's easier for them to grieve, but a lot of times it can be harder for them to move on. But regardless, you need to have a set time to grieve, and then you need to have a set time to move on. And just real quickly, you want to set a time to grieve because A, it's healthy to grieve, right? But what you want to do is say, okay, look, I have a week, maybe I have a few days, maybe we can have 2 weeks max. I would probably limit to that. And for me, like I said, a week, and I was with, I was in a relationship for a year plus, and I just said a week. Okay. And to me, that was a long time. So I would say 2 weeks, probably max. But a week, allow yourself to feel those emotions, allow to kind of get out. You don't want to bottle them in because they will just come back later. But go through that. Again, use that accountability partner to help you. Make sure that you do grieve, and then that you stop when you say you're going to stop. And then it's time to move on. So there's no more grieving, and you're still doing a clean break, but there's no more grieving. It's time to say, okay, now it's time to move on and become me after the relationship. Okay? And like I said, I'm going to have to do a part 2 because there's more to that. But this is a good start. So be on the lookout for part 2. Now, if this has helped you, leave a like. If this is your first time, subscribe. I'd appreciate that. If this has helped you, then ring the bell and like, comment, tell me how much you like it. If you have questions, something wasn't clear, or you have like specific questions about the situation you're in, leave it in the comments. I'd love to answer your comments. If you have a question for me, and it's not about breakups right now, but you have a question and you would love for me to answer it, if it's something I can make a whole podcast off of, then DM me on Instagram at relationships ain't easy, no apostrophe. And then I'll check that out. And if it's a good one, I'll shout you out and I'll post about it. And I'll actually make an episode over it. So again, I appreciate you. And one more thing. If you know someone who's going through a breakup, first of all, I would say you should reach out to them and make sure they're good. But then also send them my podcast. No, but honestly, send them my podcast. And if you know this will help them, because that's a tough time. And they can hear it from someone else sometimes that'll help them, and that'll help you help them. So anyway, appreciate you listening to the podcast, and I will see you next time.